All right, you guys, let's check out this video with Pierce Morgan going over the whole woke Disney with the flop after flop after flop. I want to say before we begin that I could fix Disney in a heartbeat, okay? Let me just tell you how. It's revolutionary. Revolutionary. It is stop with the woke garbage that nobody freaking wants, okay? Okay? No more race swapping, no more of this woke bullcrap, no more of this agenda, and go back to the good old family traditional values. That's all we want. That's all everybody wants, and we'll give you back our money. Okay? You will make money again. Okay? I know. They should hire me. They really should. They really should hire, because I would do a way better job than the diversity people that are making millions of dollars, okay, making all this diversity bullcrap. Right? And I'm okay with like I don't care as long as it fits. As long as it fits. And they're not forcing all this woke garbage. So let's check this out. I'm going to get off my soapbox here. I know I'm very passionate about this because I used to like Disney a lot. But it's absolute trash now. So anyways, let's check this out.
Let's start with Disney. There's a huge civil war raging with Disney. We're trying to work out what is going wrong.
Disney are the DEI department.
People want to go see diverse films.
No, they don't. Shut
up.
We
used to joke about they're just checking boxes when they're literally checking boxes.
And they've stopped thinking about storytelling because they actually look down on the audience.
The woke brigade that's within their building.
Stupid.
They've got nowhere to go at this point.
They're just there for identity politics.
There it is, identity.
The House of Mouse is falling down. Disney's
it is.
4 big releases have bombed the box office. The company is currently no longer Hollywood's #1 film studio.
No, it's
recent
not.
box office takings show even Marvel has lost its
Marvel sucks.
The critics say
now.
the reason is simple. Disney's prioritized identity politics over entertainment,
Super
pushing
simple.
messages audiences don't want or need to hear.
Yeah, we
so
don't
I think
want
on a point, we'll discuss all that and more. Two titans of YouTube are returning to Uncensored by popular demand. Critical Drinker and Nedrotic, otherwise known as Will and Gary, but I prefer your stage names, guys. We're going to stick to those. Also here to debate is Uncensored contributor Esther Krakow. And
what about Andrew Enzo? Let's get him on there.
Culture, Ernest Owens.
The case
which is
for
one of the worst named titles of a book, Ernest, I could ever envisage, but we'll let that pass. All right, let's start with Disney.
Right on it, right at the beginning.
There's a huge civil war raging with Disney, with board members, investors, all trying to work out what is going wrong.
I can't believe it.
With the recent series of flops, because Disney is not used to having flops. Nelson Peltz, who's a serious investor in Disney, has criticized Disney's woke strategy in an interview with the Financial Times.
What a
he said, why do I have to have a Marvel movie that's all women? Not that I have anything against women, but why do I have to do that? Why do I need an all-black cast? What do you think of this?
I'm looking at this woke guy over here. He's like,
there's no doubt Disney's in a pretty poor run at the moment. How much of that is down to woking up the movies?
I think it's definitely a factor, but it's part of a much bigger picture that incorporates other issues like a general decline in storytelling quality, a prioritization of quantity over quality, and delving too much into identity politics, which by their nature are divisive. Of course they are. And so all of those different factors working together are slowly
And let me just say too, it's divisive, but the people that like and want Disney, the families, the traditional people, it's pushing all of them away. Like their whole entire demographic of audience are the people that they are pushing away. This is how stupid they are. Like it's so ridiculous.
Mind their creative output to the point where all of their major franchises are failing. Star Wars is kind of a disaster at the moment. The Marvel Cinematic Universe that used to be this money-printing behemoth has churned out flop after flop in recent years, and even their own, their own unique animation movies like Wish,
Haunted Mansion flop, Pixar flops all over the place.
Yes, exactly. All of those different aspects of their creative output have flopped, and they've got nowhere to go at this point. Clearly, something has to change. What they're doing is not working anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the Drotic,
But they keep
She-Hulk,
doing
Attorney
it.
at Law, a comic book tale featuring a strong female lead. The Marvels, a comic book movie featuring a diverse cast of strong female leads. Elemental, Disney's first animation featuring their first strong non-binary lead. All flops. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not. People who are intent on
we don't want to see it.
Disney
We don't
saying,
want
well,
it.
this is because they're pursuing a strategy that's not based on just producing great movies. They're pursuing a strategy trying to appease the woke brigade, who will come hunting for them if they deviate from the woke worldview. Your thoughts?
The woke brigade that's within their building, right? So, you know, we see all these third-party companies in gaming that's going off right now. But like Disney is that third-party company. They are the DEI department. Lucasfilm is the DEI department, and now Marvel is too. And it was really easy for comic book fans to figure this out because we read the comic books. She-Hulk, for example, was a great comic book. It was reverent. It broke the fourth wall. That the famous run is by John Byrne, and I love the comic book. She-Hulk was a member of the Fantastic Four. This is one of my favorite female Marvel characters, and they destroyed her because they don't know what they're doing. I did a clip in one of my videos of all of the writers for most of the Disney Plus, stating that they didn't know anything about the comics and they didn't read the comics. And that's part of the reason, because they're just there for identity politics. It's simple. We used to joke about they're just checking boxes when they're literally checking boxes.
Yeah, I done heard about that.
Ernest,
I heard about that.
You'd be sitting there grimacing. I mean, it's clearly demonstrably not working, this strategy.
On the end,
and I've just looking from the outside, look at it and think, yeah, they have been too concerned about identity politics, too concerned about appeasing their very woke workforce. And they should have just stuck to doing what Disney does best: make great family films and make a ton of cash.
Hold up.
So there's a lot of misinformation, and I think the issue is that no one here is actually really reading the real strategy. The problem is several things. There's a missing implication. There has been
You're the problem, sir.
Films that were super successful. Black Panther had a predominantly black cast, not all black cast, and made 1.3
But it made sense. So, like, that's the thing. Is like nobody cares as long as it makes sense. Because guess where Black Panther was? It's in Africa. Like, are you kidding me? Obviously, that makes sense. And it was a great movie.
Box office and a really successful sequel. The reality is that when you start saying woke or DEI, you know, there's another implication there where you're implying in many ways that what is the opposite of lack of diversity in those films? It's feeding to an all-white cast or majority white cast and a lack of diversity. I don't think that
only if it makes sense.
I don't think that's what Hollywood should do because it doesn't reflect the society we live in. However, what's missing in this conversation is that the reason why a lot of these films are not doing as well is because many of them are spinoffs, sequels, or there's just overall fatigue in the market where people want original stories.
Garbage
so I do think that rather than trying to make this a culture
annoying.
war, which really it isn't, it's more of a change in taste from the audiences and what they want. Let's keep it 100. Pixar has not really made too many original films that have really been able to be fully marketed. And there's been an oversaturation of them. There's an oversaturation of Marvel. But if you look at other films elsewhere,
there's definitely an oversaturation. I'll agree. I'll agree on that one. There's definitely an oversaturation of Marvel. This whole, we're gonna do everything in the entire universe. There's too many shows. Like, first of all, I don't want to keep up with them anymore because of all the woke garbage. But even if I did, like, there's so many to try to keep up with.
Seems to be a trend of liking diversity. TV shows, streaming platforms. And so it seems to be a little bit intellectually dishonest to frame it in this way. I think
negative.
I'll come to Esther at once. I mean, I would just say, my favorite movie the last few years was Top Gun Maverick because it just did what it said on the tin, right? The guys behave like guys, the women behave like women. Bad guys got slotted, and the good guys were heroes.
That's all we want, baby.
That used to be how movies got made in Hollywood. They celebrated the basics in life. Now they're too busy worrying about what the basics in life actually are. Esther, what a place.
Like, could we get another movie like 300 or Gladiator or Troy or like one of those classic? Like, can we get something like that?
South Park. Take a look at this.
Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it. Make her gay.
maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Fuck Indiana Jones! Put a chick in it and make her name it gay!
Sure, yeah. Well, let's try that. Again. Kathleen Kennedy is down on set right now ruining the new Bambi movie.
Any diverse woman in it, make it gay!
Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby dear, put a chick in it, make her gay!
Now, the thing about South Park, as Meghan and Harry can tell you, is that through their comedy, they often absolutely nail the truth.
Yeah, the reality. This is so real.
The argument that they've not been making enough independent films, and that's why they've been flopping. Well, the independent films that they have made have also flopped because they've not been focusing on storytelling. They're always thinking, how can I have a transgender Muslim black woman in there?
Yeah,
and they stopped thinking about storytelling because they actually look down on the audience that they're targeting. I also think there's another dynamic here, which is actually the media. So the media works against them. So if you actually just wanted to tell a story and the entire cast of that film was white, even before you watch the movie, all the promo will just be saturated by these sort of pink news articles saying, oh, it's sexist, it's homophobic, it's transgender. So even before the film comes out, you have media working against you. So in that, and the media will be easily disseminated. So that will kind of kill the buzz before anyone bothers to watch the film. And I think that's the issue. They've stopped respecting the audience and they feel the need to preach to them.
I just think that's so right. I just think Disney should go back to what they're good at. It's a fantastic company that used to make fantastic movies and hardly ever had a flop.
Hire me.
They knew their audience so well.
I'll make it happen.
They didn't attack their audience.
Sorry,
a
lot of those movies were not sequels. A lot of those movies were not.
But going back to Black Panther, did Black Panther succeed because there were black people in it? No,
it was a great story.
It was a recognizable character that comic fans that I have been reading since I was 6 and 7 years old.
It was a damn good movie.
And it followed the same exact formula for Black Panther with the second one, and it made half as much. Clearly,
half as much.
Yeah,
I want to be clear.
And no one talks about it anymore.
In his statement, I want to be clear that Peltz did say in that interview that basically argued that the Marvels and Black Panther, he didn't even want to get Black Panther made. And in Iger's book that he came out in 2019, he referenced that they had to fight to get Black Panther to come out.
That was Ike Perlmutter, not Nelson Peltz.
Why? Yeah, right. Why?
Who's backing Nelson Peltz? Why?
Right. Why?
Not because
they didn't think it would sell action figures, and he was obviously wrong on that one. And he didn't want Captain Marvel made either. But there's a lot of fishiness around Captain Marvel. And then when the sequel came out, which was the most predictable flop of all time, it flopped. It was their biggest flop. They didn't put any effort in it because they didn't put any. If you watched Captain Marvel and read the books that she was based on, she was Carol Danvers. She was Miss Marvel. She was a likable character. They turned her into a dude.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin Feige is the one who put out the edict.
Yeah,
he said
that garbage was
we're going to make
character.
half of our characters women. That's where the MCU comes from. I didn't create it. Nobody created it. Kevin Feige created it. He's the one who said, I'm going to put down this edict and I'm going to start checking boxes. And that's exactly when they started failing, right after Captain Marvel. It's been all downhill from there. Very few of their movies have made money because the budgets have blown up beyond we don't even know. We just learned that Doctor Strange cost around $300 million without marketing.
But by the way, that's the same thing that they did to Barbie. Can I just point that out? I know comic books are not as popular as Barbie, but I'm a huge Barbie fan. And the people who made Barbie didn't bother to watch one of the 47 animated Barbie films. If you actually are a fan of Barbie, the Barbie film that was produced last year and made all that money, it was a complete abomination because they didn't even bother to actually do any research. This is the thing. They have activists instead of filmmakers. That's the problem. And no one wants to watch something that's preachy and boring.
Candace Owens Jr., listen.
Oh,
it's not a flop.
What? Captain Owens Jr.
Barbie did the thing. Barbie did it.
Barbie was an abomination.
Was that a racist comment though? Was that
about woke and this? At the end of the day, it was a fresh, original concept. People want to go see diverse films, but they also want to see things.
No, they don't.
So there was nothing diverse about it. Barbie.
We don't. We don't.
And Barbie had nothing to do with it.
Don't all talk over each other. Let me just be clear.
So many people talking.
Barbie was not a film about diversity. It was a film bashing men, attacking the patriarchy, and saying that all the good things in the world are female. And the only funny thing about it was at the Oscars, it was all about Ryan Gosling. Ken had the last laugh as Margot Robbie sat in the seats. Unwanted and unattended. And I love Margot Robbie, but let's not pretend what Barbie was.
I didn't see it though, so I can't really say too much on
an abomination, a man-bashing abomination. Talking of abominations, Let's come to Joker 2, a musical. It's been announced that the sequel to Joker is going to be a jukebox musical co-starring Lady Gaga with up to 15 lip-synced cover songs. My heart sank when I heard this. Critical Drinker, what did your heart do?
What did your heart do?
Pretty much the same thing.
What did your heart
ultimately,
say
it's all going to come down to the implementation. Potentially, there's a way you could make this work. When I first heard that this is the route they were going to turn it into a musical, wasn't a fan. But I loved the first Joker movie. Told a great story. It wasn't.
I was about it.
Mired in the comic book superhero movie genre. It was a story about a man gradually losing his way in society and a world that just didn't care about him. Fine, that sort of thing works perfectly, and it was great. Not sure I love this idea of turning it into a musical. I got a little bit of confidence in Todd Phillips as a director. He clearly knows what he's doing with this, but whether or not they can make this work is debatable. I think we're going to have to wait and see.
All musicals
are I despise musicals. I mean, to be fair,
what about High School Musical? Classic.
But I also
think
I don't really like his cinematic style, and what he did with Moulin Rouge I can't stand it. And it's not a genre I can take seriously. I think it works in theater, but it's just
La La Land was great. I
watched it with my daughter. La La Land was horrible. It was unacceptable. It was horrible. But I don't understand
Singing in the Rain. I mean,
the Joker character.
Really?
And musical.
All musicals are terrible.
I think they're all
Singing
terrible.
in the Rain.
They're all awful. I can't stand it.
Nedrotic, come in here. I'll come to you, Ernest. Nedrotic, all musicals are awful. Discuss.
Most of them are.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
There's a couple I like, but most of them are pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Just not my taste. But with Joker, I didn't think the first movie should exist, and then it became kind of a cultural event. I'm sure you remember the press around that. That was supposed to be some movie for incels, and I had to walk through a metal detector to go in New York to go watch the movie in America because of all the press that was around it, that was going to incite violence and all that crap. And the violence happened at Frozen 2 and not Joker. Thought the movie was great. I didn't think it needed to exist because ultimately the Joker doesn't need an origin. But I really don't think this sequel should exist. I love Todd Phillips as a filmmaker. Not a big fan of Lady Gaga. So, I'm skeptical on it.
Okay, Ernest?
Musicals are touch and go, but I think people like something that is original and fresh.
But you think that people want
but I wouldn't count Gaga out, and I wouldn't count
garbage.
Todd Phillips out. I think that the cast is going to really drive it.
I don't think we care.
It already
about
has
your
a great
opinion,
interest
sir.
in the public. I'm open, and I'm not crazy about a lot of musicals.
Do you know my theory about musicals, Ernest, is that it's a bit like music. It's like an album, right? When you listen to an album for the first time, it's very rare that I listen to an album once and think, oh, that was fantastic. They grow on me, right? You listen to the same song a few times, and suddenly you're into it. And I felt the same about La La Land. First time I watched it, I didn't like it. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Second time I liked it a bit more. And the other night I watched it with my daughter, absolutely loved it because I knew all the songs. You know, it's a bit like when you go to a concert. If they play their greatest hits at a concert, I'm a happy boy.
And it's also an original musical, which is my point. Like, you didn't see it on Broadway. It was made for the film. And so when you have, again, something that's different, people will watch it. Because if you're The Color Purple didn't do well, right? Because a lot of people was comparing it to Broadway, to the other movie. And so you have something to compare it with. Not everything can be Chicago.
I guess I'm uncultured with musicals.
Adapted musicals.
I don't know why we're talking about this. I thought we were talking about Disney.
Okay, let's turn to Sydney Sweeney, this cultural phenomenon, being called a double D antidote to woke. Canada's National Post posed the question: are Sydney Sweeney's breasts double D harbingers of the death of woke? And they summarise the argument by saying we've spent years being chastised for desiring or admiring beauty because beauty is rare and exclusionary, and to exclude is to hate. Or so we've been scolded to accept by today's diversity, equity, and inclusion fanatics. We aren't supposed to admire Sweeney's beauty, but we've done it anyways. The times, they are a-changing. Critical Drinker, are they changing? Has Sydney Sweeney's cleavage basically spelled the beginning of the end of woke?
All right, we're gonna end it here. I'm getting a little bored here, and okay. Disney's garbage right now. Takeaways: Disney's garbage right now. I could fix it. Pierce agrees with me. I agree with Pierce, and I wish that Disney would fix their garbage. I wish that they would. But apparently they just like to lose money because, I don't know, progressivism and all that. So, all right, you guys, I will catch you on the next video if you stick around.